Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today we're reviewing the 11th studio album from experimental group Scisssssssors, entitled Girl with Basket of Fruit. When I went into this thing, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I heard the single off of it, Pumpkin Attack on Mommy and Daddy, and I thought it was absolutely absurd. It was terrifying. It was just like bone-chillingly strange, yet somehow addicting at the same time. It was really an amazingly unique song, and when I got to hear the album for the first time, it was really an experience. Listening to this for the very first time is such an amazing, mind-boggling, just earth-shattering experience, because it's just so entrancing. And even though I can definitely see why one might say that it gets worse as you listen to it more, because a lot of, like, if you were to watch a horror movie, you know where all the jump scares are, so the jump scares don't really scare you as much. Much like with this, a lot of its most frightening and disturbing elements don't come as quite of a surprise on further listens. But I still feel like it holds up just as much, if not very close to the first listen on when listening to it throughout. I thought that there were so many just hauntingly disturbing tracks on here, like the title track, Girl with Basket of Fruit, or It Comes Out as a Joke, or Amargi, that are just so creepy. They're so bone-chillingly frightening that they just entrance you in their sounds. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, this is beyond music. This is its own unique beast of an album. And even though there are some tracks that kind of settle you down, it doesn't keep up this level of anxiety throughout the entire thing, like the song Ice Cream Truck or The Wrong Thing. Even though these are not accessible whatsoever, nothing on this album I would say is accessible. It's a very acquired taste, I would say. It's definitely not for everybody, but if you're a fan of experimental music, this I would expect to just blow you away. Like I said, because it starts out with some really graphic, disturbing, and chilling imagery in the lyrics through the first few tracks of the album that it's very, very cryptic in what's being said, because it starts off uneasy through the first three tracks. Then we get to Ice Cream Truck, Pumpkin Attack on Mommy and Daddy, The Wrong Thing, which even though they still have a level of tension within them, to it keeps this beautiful feeling throughout the album. But they kind of ease you back a bit so you're not constantly feeling the exact same thing over and over again through every single track. And then you get into Mary Turner, and Scissors. And these are just frightening. I mean, these songs you can just feel it in your entire body. You can feel every single terrifying note and every terrifying, disturbing, sounding like a cry for help vocal on here, and it's really, really beautiful. And not in the traditional beautiful sense, but really just so mesmerizing. And we conclude on the song Normal Love, which I think is probably the most accessible song on here, but that's not really saying much for this album. It has a nice piano sound in the background while still keeping up this tense vibe to where it seems like the most relaxing song on the album, but there's still a hint of something that's not quite right, where you just feel like, even though this sounds like it's saying that everything's gonna be fine, not everything is quite fine, and it leaves it on a very chilling note at the end that just leaves this album imprinted in your head. I mean, there's just so much to unpack in this album. I mean, like I said, a song like Girl with Basket of Fruit, It Comes Out as a Joke, the very graphic vocals, the very graphic imagery in the lyrics, this screaming and hollering through what's being said on here adds so much power to everything that's being said that truly makes one of the most frightening experiences you can have in music. And it's so amazingly strange, too. I mean, Pumpkin Attack on Mommy and Daddy has an amazing beat to it. It has a really, as catchy as something like this can get, hook on it. And it's really the kind of song that really just stands out, that you move with the beat while still being amazed by how amazingly unique it is. It's so interesting, it's so complex, it's so different, and I just cannot get enough of it. The first time I heard this album, I was hooked, because it just leaves this beautifully unique feeling that you cannot get from anything else. And isn't that what makes an album great? If it can do something that very few people are doing, and even those who are doing it don't do it to as great of an extent, that's what makes an album really memorable. Where it goes beyond just a great thing to listen to. It goes beyond just something that you really enjoy the songs. It becomes its own experience. It becomes its own unique thing that transcends this album. It transcends the idea of it just being straight up music, because there's so much more to it than that. The cryptic, dark, disturbing, frightening lyrics throughout this entire album leave me coming back, wanting to find out what it all means, because I feel like there's a story in here. And I feel like it's a very dark story. One that involves a lot of pain, a lot of agony, and a lot of fear. Especially the song Mary Turner, which is especially like the little, almost like schoolyard jingle at the end of it is just so amazingly frightening that song alone stands out as just something else. And really, every song on here stands out in an amazing way. I mean, Girl with Baskin Fruit, and it comes out as a joke, again, with their dark lyricism. Amargi Vemu, with the very hushed whispers throughout the song, just are so chilling. And for example, like on here when he goes like, hear the knock, 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 knock. And it's really, really bone chilling. And very few, and debatably any albums ever even reach this point of terror throughout the song. Where some music may have a bit of an unsettling or a bit of a creepy vibe to them, this album embraces that fully, to the extent that I'm just left in shock. And not only did they do this, but they did it so amazingly well through every single song on here. And the structure of it is amazing too, because it starts off, you kind of know what you're getting into with it's very dark, very creepy, very unsettling, and then it soothes down a bit to something that's a bit more easy on the ears, a bit less disturbing, but still keeping this feeling of tension. And then it just hits you with as dark, as disturbing, and as revolting as it can get, and I cannot get enough of it. And then it all ends off with this beautifully unsettling conclusion that is somehow both a happy ending and an unhappy ending at the same time. And I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did it amazingly well. For experimental bands, this level of innovation is the kind of thing they should be looking for. Now, is this the first ever horror album? No. Is this the first ever truly frightening album? No. But it does it in such an amazingly different, unique, and unsettling way that this album is gonna be left in my mind for a long, long time. So, with all that being said, all of the amazing elements of it all put together to make this one phenomenal, amazing project, I can't give it anything else other than a 10 out of 10. This album is just something else in such an amazing way. It definitely earns a 10 out of 10, the first ever 10 on this channel. Definitely check it out. You may not like it, so just keep that in mind. You may not like it, especially if you're not into the more abstract music, but this is a truly amazing album that I think everyone should at least give a fair shot. So, did you listen to Girl with Basket of Fruit? What did you think of it? Tell me how wrong my opinion is, as always, and I will see you in the next review.